Mure Zimbabwe. Chiwenga just broke ranks. What happened behind closed doors will shock you, right? Yesterday, something happened in Zimbabwe that the government does not want trending. The Constitutional Amendment Bill consultations, the ones that were supposed to rubber stamp Mnangagwa staying in power until 2030 without an election, those consultations officially ended yesterday, May 17th. And bro and sister, it did not go the way State House planned, not even close. But forget what the newspapers are telling you. Forget the official statements. Forget the Herald. Because last night, someone who sits in rooms I am not allowed to name called me. And what they told me about what is happening inside ZANU-PF right now, between Mnangagwa and Chiwenga specifically, is the kind of information that people in Zimbabwe get visited for. So I am going to talk fast, and I need you to listen carefully. Right now, we go where nobody else is going. Right? What they told you. Zimbabwe, here's the official story. Zimbabwe is having a national conversation about Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3, a democratic process. The people are being consulted, parliament is listening, government is transparent. Beautiful story, very touching. The bill, if it passes, extends presidential and parliamentary terms from 5 years to 7 years, which means Mnangagwa, who was supposed to face elections in 2028, would now stay in power until 2030, without a vote, without facing the people, without anyone being able to remove him through a ballot box. They are calling it a reform, an alignment of terms, a technical correction. The Zimbabwe Council of Churches called it something different. They called it constitutionally, morally, and democratically compromised, and demanded a full public referendum. Civil society called it a power grab. Lawyers called it unconstitutional. And ordinary Zimbabweans who showed up to the public hearings to say they disagreed, they got attacked, they got abducted, they got silenced by ZANU-PF members who stormed the venues in Harare, in Bulawayo, in front of cameras, Zimbabwe. That is the official story. Now, let me tell you the unofficial one. Pause up. A meme. The Chiwenga bombshell. Zimbabwe. My source says, and I want you to hear this clearly, Chiwenga did not just break ranks publicly. Chiwenga broke ranks privately first. Right? In a meeting, in a room with people present who my source says were shocked into complete silence. Here's the background you need. Chiwenga made Mnangagwa president. Remember that, November 2017. Tanks on the streets, Mugabe removed, Mnangagwa installed. Everybody knows this. What everybody does not know is the deal that was allegedly made in that room in 2017. My source says there was an understanding, an agreement between men that Mnangagwa would do his terms and then Chiwenga would have his turn. Not written down, not signed, but understood. The way powerful men in Zimbabwe understand things. With a look, with a nod, with the weight of what each man knows about the other. Now, Mnangagwa is trying to extend to 2030 without an election, which means Chiwenga's turn, the turn he was promised, gets pushed, gets delayed, gets buried under a constitutional amendment that conveniently keeps one man in power indefinitely. Right. My source says Chiwenga is not just uncomfortable. My source says Chiwenga is furious. And the furious Chiwenga, a man who commanded the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, who has networks inside the military that go 30 years deep, who knows exactly how a Zimbabwean government gets removed because he has done it before. A furious Chiwenga is not a small problem. A furious Chiwenga is a 2017 problem waiting to happen again. Zimbabwe. Right. Mirai Munzu. The consultations that went wrong. Now, here is where it gets even more interesting. The public hearings on this amendment bill were supposed to be a formality. You know how it works in Zimbabwe. Government announces consultations, ZANU-PF structures are mobilized, supporters fill the halls, everyone speaks in favor, process complete, bill passed. That is the script, but the script fell apart. Churches showed up and said no. Lawyers showed up and said no. Civil society showed up and said no. Ordinary Zimbabweans tired, broke, frustrated Zimbabweans showed up and said no. The opposition was so strong and so visible that government removed the chair of the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission, removed her, after her body criticized how the hearings were being conducted. Think about that. They removed the human rights watchdog for watching human rights. And ZANU-PF spokesperson Mutsvangwa went on record to say, and I want you to hear this, that any faction inside the party waiting to replace Mnangagwa will have to wait until 2030. Now, why would you say that publicly? You say that publicly because privately, factions are not waiting quietly. Mutsvangwa did not make that statement to reassure the public. He made that statement to send a message to someone specific inside ZANU-PF. My source says that someone is Chiwenga. Zimbabwe. Let's talk about the new CIO appointment. Right in the middle of all of this, Mnangagwa appoints a new head of the CIO, the Central Intelligence Organization, Zimbabwe's spy network, the most powerful security instrument any Zimbabwean president has. A veteran diplomat turned intelligence insider, Paul Chikawa, steps into the role right now at this exact politically sensitive moment. My source says this appointment is not routine. My source, Zimbabwe, says Mnangagwa is doing what every Zimbabwean leader does when they feel the ground shifting under their feet. He is making sure the intelligence services answer to him personally. He is making sure that whatever conversations are happening in closed rooms, whatever phone calls are being made between generals and factional leaders and ambitious politicians, he knows about them before they become a problem. In Zimbabwe, controlling the CIO is controlling the information, and controlling the information is controlling the survival. Mnangagwa is not panicking, but he is moving fast. And when Zimbabwean presidents start moving fast, history tells us something is coming. Right. So let me give you the full picture as my source left it with me. You have a constitutional amendment that was supposed to be smooth, that has turned into the most contested political moment in Zimbabwe since 2017. You have Chiwenga, the kingmaker, privately furious about a deal he believes is being broken. You have a new CIO chief being installed at the exact moment internal party tensions are at their highest. You have ZANU-PF publicly warning its own factions to stand down. And you have a consultation period that ended yesterday with a bill that must now go back to parliament for its second reading, in an environment where even churches, lawyers, and the Human Rights Commission are saying this is wrong. Zimbabwe. My source said something before they hung up that I have not been able to stop thinking about. They said, in 2017, everyone thought Mugabe was safe because he controlled everything. He controlled the party, he controlled the military, he controlled the media, he controlled the courts. I said, so what happened? They said, he forgot that the people who help you control everything are also the people who know exactly how to take it all away. Then they were gone. Zimbabwe, you know what that means. Right. Zimbabwe, we started the Mtapa Times because Zimbabweans deserve more than propaganda dressed as news. What is happening right now in Zimbabwe is bigger than a constitutional amendment. It is a fight over who controls the future of this country. And that fight, whether it stays inside boardrooms and Politburo meetings or whether it spills into something none of us want to see, will affect every single Zimbabwean. In Harare, in Johannesburg, in London, in Auckland, every single one of us. So share this video right now, not for my views, not for my channel. Share it because an informed Zimbabwean is a dangerous Zimbabwean. Dangerous to the people who depend on us not paying attention. The consultations are over. Now the real game begins. Zimbabwe. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Stay blessed. Peace.